All right, welcome back to Chapter 4, Expenses for QuickBooks Online. So we last talked about creating that vendor report, okay? So there you go, the contact list. Now for oftentimes what will happen is that as you go through making and creating all of your expenses and entering your bills and things like that, oftentimes if you're typing in things and you don't see what you're looking for, oftentimes you'll accidentally do what's called a quick add feature, which allows you to create multiple profiles. And when you go back to the vendor contact list or just go to the vendor center, right, you start to notice that you have a few profiles that have the same exact person or has the same exact company name. Maybe one of them is Donna Distributing and the other one is Donna Distributing Company, right? You'll have some kind of variations to it. Now, what you can do is you can merge those two accounts, right? It's the same exact rules as if you were to merge, your chart of accounts. Like if you were trying to merge an account together, same exact rules, except the only difference is that make sure that the vendor name and that the display name are identical. And you got to choose which one that you want to keep and which one you're going to merge. And it's the same process there. Right? And once you've done the merging process, you can't undo it. But it makes sense if you have two of alike profiles and they represent the same thing, then go ahead and do it. All right? So then we're going to talk really briefly about job costing. Okay, so job costing, like we've mentioned before, right? What if you use a particular vendor to order something special for a customer? This is where job costing comes into play because you're doing a cost based on a job that you're completing for a customer. Therefore, what you could do is, so the questions that we answered to the little setup window, that is for in case you do end up having those job costs. So again, what these job costs do is it allows you to assign your income and expenses to a particular customer, okay? Now, again, we won't see this relevant more so until we dive into Chapter 9, where we dive into billable expenses and job costing. We might see a little bit in Chapter 3 for the sales, but like I said, it's more predominantly for Chapter 9. Okay, so we'll go ahead and skip this section for now. Okay, and let's go ahead and dive into managing accounts payable. So as we've mentioned before in the very beginning of Chapter 4, there are 3 ways to keep track of your expenses, right? The first one is going to be managing your accounts payable, which is utilizing the pay bills function, the enter bills function, and also utilizing the pay bills function, okay? So in this case, right, what does it do to create an accounts payable? So in order to do that, right, just think of it in real life terms, right? When you receive a bill, you essentially owe this vendor money, right? And how we allow QuickBooks to recognize that you owe money is by using the enter bills function. Okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at our very first one on how to enter in a bill. Now, there are many ways that you can enter in a bill. Now, as I've mentioned before, right, your go-to place, right, your best friend is going to be the new icon, the plus new button icon at the top of your left navigation bar. Okay, so right here and under the vendor section, which is the middle one section here, you have the word bills. Okay, so that is your enter bills function window right there. Now again, that is not the only way that you're able to utilize that to enter in a bill. You are able to go to your expenses window. Okay, of course, when you have your expenses center, which we'll see in a bit here, then you're able to create a bill through the expenses window. We even mentioned before, you can even go to your vendors and create a bill by using your action right here. So the first thing you have here is under actions is create a bill. So that is 3 ways that you can create a bill. Okay? Now, we're just going to go ahead and use the main focus one, which is going to be using the plus new icon, and we're going to click on bill. So once you've done that, what happens is a form is going to populate like this for you to fill out and enter all the information that you need to fill in regards to that bill. Okay? So when you receive a bill in the mail, you're going to basically copy all the information into your bill, and that's pretty much it. Okay? So let's go to this right here. We're going to be entering our first bill here to the Barton Insurance Company or Incorporated, and it's going to be for the January 1st, 2022. Terms are net 30. Okay, and what this bill number is, there is no bill number, but we can definitely go ahead and understand that we're paying for insurance, right? So we're paying Barton Insurance for the expense account business insurance, okay, for $605. So let's go ahead and fill in all that information. So right again, when we type into my vendors, notice this, I click on it, I automatically get a drop-down list. So I can select my vendors through this, but let's say I have hundreds or maybe even 1,000 vendors, right? I can simply type in the first couple letters of that person's name or that vendor's name. So in this case, I type in Barton or Bart, and right there, boom, Barton Insurance Incorporated. So that is what I mean by creating your list allows you to create this opportunity to fill in things much more quickly. Okay? And if I go ahead and click on that, guess what? The address fills in. The terms fill in. Okay? So again, it populates a lot of things. So the more information that you have about a particular vendor, it will auto-populate. Okay? Now, of course, they said net 30. So let's go ahead and put in the date here. So we're going to pay the insurance on the very 1st of January here. So January 1st of 2022. Okay? And then that means 30 days from now, the due date is going to be January 31st. Okay? We don't have a bill number, but usually when you receive a bill, it should be at the very top of the corner, or it should be an invoice number because, again, we're looking at you being the customer, right? So you're going to get the invoice number or a billing number, okay? Now, again, the book says you don't have that, so it is okay. Now, here is where it kind of gets a little confusing. Now, if you remember in Chapter 2, when we set up our locations and classes, right? This one says this one is for a particular store, right? Now, in this case, insurance shouldn't be for just one store. It should be for both stores, right? So in this case, I have it under as overhead, okay? Overhead means that you're going to have insurance, right, that is split between 2 different stores, right? So in this case, overhead represents an account or a location that covers both stores. So in this case, right, my insurance, I need to split it between the San Jose and the actual Walnut Creek, right? But I'm paying one person. So in this case, my location is going to be considered overhead because it applies to both of the stores. So that is what we establish our locations as, right? Because yes, you can do an actual store location, but if you were to do that, you need to actually enter 2 separate bills for that. One for the San Jose and one for the Walnut Creek. But in this case, since I'm using this and it's for both of them, I'm paying one insurance company for both stores, I'm going to designate that as overhead. And they're going to be both for business insurances, one of them for San Jose and one of them for the Walnut Creek location. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter in location as overhead. Now, if you remember, we've already entered in all of our locations previously, right? Again, building your list only allows you to be able to fill things a lot more quickly. Okay, no permit number. Okay, is there a tag to this? No. Okay, or is there? Let's see. I don't think there is. Okay, nope, no tag that I see here. Okay, so let's see. The first thing is we're going to identify two different expenses. So here, notice this. You have two different things that you're looking at. Right now, I have items open. So in this case, am I looking at category detail or item details? Okay, categories, right? We mentioned this is the same thing as your accounts. Okay. In QuickBooks, they refer your categories as your accounts, where items are going to be your products and services. Now, in this case, we don't sell insurance, so therefore we're not going to use the items detail, but we are going to be using the categories detail. Now, notice this, it says right here, what category are we enlisting for the first one? So we said insurance, right? So I type in insurance, okay, insurance. Okay, and notice this, I got retail insurance, I got business insurance, and that's the one that we want to assign it to. Your description is going to be San Jose store insurance. Okay, and what's the amount for? $605, right? Because we're splitting the insurance plan right in half. Okay, is it billable? Of course not. No markup. It's not taxable. So in this case, the customer, nothing there. Class we said was for the actual store. Okay. Now you could put this as overhead or admin costs, but in this case, it's fine if you just put store. Okay. Then the second one, you're going to copy this one again, business insurance. So business loan. Okay, so I'm gonna retype that in as insurance. It will populate a lot quicker. So again, I'm typing in, and what's happening? It's identifying every single account that I have in my chart of accounts. So again, business insurance is what I'm looking for, and this time my description is going to be for the Walnut Creek location. Okay, and it's again for the 605, and it's for the store. Okay, so now that I fill that in, my grand total for the insurance should be $1,210. Okay. All right, for the Walnut Creek, everything, so grand total is $1,210 for the Barton insurance. Okay. And once everything looks good, we can go ahead and save and close. Okay. Now, once I've done that, now when I go to my expenses tab, right? So this is the expenses center, right? I had to add something in here in order for me to view my expenses section. Now notice this, every time I enter in something, it will populate right here that I have an expense right here for the insurance expense, for the business expense, right? And this is where if I need to make any changes, so let's say I accidentally saved it and forgot to put in a location, or I forgot to put in the terms or something like that. So if I were to do that, right, I am able to edit this bill by simply clicking on the bill. And it will populate that bill, and I'm allowed to edit any information as I go. So in this case, right, just exactly like how all programs are. Yes, you have the capabilities to edit, modify, change whatever you want, because again, this is your QuickBooks, right? Not everything is going to be perfect. Not everything is permanent, except for merging things, right? But in this case, right, we are able to have the capabilities to modify, edit, delete, and so on and so forth, right? Because it's a program. Now, again, there are some rules and regulations about that. We'll talk about that in chapter 5. Okay? All right, so no changes there. So there you go. That is my very first bill. Okay? So let's go ahead and explore another one. Let's do one from using, let's use the vendor center, okay? This time we're going to enter in one for Gandhi Video LLC, okay? So again, if I go to my vendor center, okay, I can find Gandhi Videos. So here's Gandhi Video LLC, and it says right here, create bill. So if I go ahead and click on that, right, boom, I get the same exact window, but this time all the information for Gandhi is already filled in for me. So I can save much more time by just going through the vendor center and just going through here, and everything is already filled in for me for the first part, but everything after that I have to fill in myself, right? So let's see, for Gandhi Video LLC, we got net 30, and the billing date was the 15th of January. Okay? 15th of January. Now notice this. When I changed that billing date for the very first time, right, it saved that date. So then now the next time I'm going to punch something in here, right, it's saying, well, are you doing it for the same date? That is also to help you save some time there, is it will actually pick up the date that you left off with. Now, every time you log into QuickBooks, it does pretend like you're doing things as of today, at today's date, right? So when I started, it did say it was in November, but I already made changes to it and made it so that it's now we're back in January. So in this case, just to make it help you save time much more quickly, right? So I put in January 15, net 30. So that means this is due on the 14th of February. Okay. Now this one is for the actual San Jose location here, where we actually purchase some products and services. So we are going to be actually using the items tab here. Okay. So again, San Jose location. Now, once again, we are going to be utilizing the items tab. So again, we're using bills, right? You're able to pay for two things, right? One for an actual expense for the company, and the second one is actually if you purchase some goods and some services. Okay. Now, if you remember, so Gandhi, right? They are a 1099 worker. That means if we utilize Gandhi as a 1099 worker, they can go ahead and bill us for the services that they provided to us. Now, this service is something that we actually sell, right? Because we're using Gandhi as a third-party vendor to help us do the job for us, okay? So that's what they did. So here we're going to do videographer, right? Quantity 4, which is, right, we said it was $95 per person. No sales tax rate because it's a service. Okay? And we're going to have it as a customer for Barnett residents. Now, in this case, I'm going to ignore that second part because we haven't talked about our customers yet. But in that case, that's where we're billing our customer for this particular type of service. So again, videographer. So that should have been something that we added in yesterday. Okay, videographer, or back in chapter 2, they wanted 4 of them. And if you look at the rate here, okay, sorry, okay, right? It says it's 75 for the rate. Now that's what they charged you. Now in this case, you can override that because again, you have the ability to do that. So the billing rate, right, you can go ahead and override that. Okay, by simply just clicking on the rate and changing it. Okay. So I made it 95, so now it's $380. Okay, and it's for the store. Now again, I'm not going to bill it to that customer because I haven't put their customer information in yet. So I'm going to go ahead and click to the next one. Okay, so the next one we did and 3 videographers. Okay, now notice this tax, right? Because right now you have the option, is it taxable? We said no, it's a service. You don't tax services. So in this case, we're going to choose the next one. Okay? Next one is going to be 3 videographers. Okay? And the tag here is real estate. So videographers. Okay? We said 3 of them at $95. Okay? So again, is it billable? It is, but we're not going to. Taxes, no. For the store, yes. Okay, and tags. This is for a real estate tag, right? Because these people that we are hiring, or in this case, these customers that we completed a service for, they are taking real estate photos. Okay, so there you go. You should have the real estate tag in here. I don't know why it's not there. Okay, real estate. There you go. I must have made a typo. Real estate. Okay. And everything looks good. So you're being billed for $665. Okay. For 4 videographers for 95 and then 3 videographers for 95. Okay. Once everything looks good, okay, we can go ahead and click save and close. Okay. So there you go. We have one for Gandhi and one for wrong section here. We have one for Gandhi and one for Barrett Barton. So if I go ahead and click on vendors, now notice this. If I were to look at Gandhi, right, I can see that I have an account balance for $665. If I were to go ahead and actually click on Gandhi video, right, we mentioned this. You have 2 tabs that can be displayed here, right? If I click on transactions, here it shows me that I have a bill from January 15. So again, this is a way that you can keep track of your bills. Okay? All right, by going through that there. Or you can go through the expenses tab. Now this also lets you know here, did you pay for it? Right now, you have not paid for them yet. It says right here that you're still pending here. Okay. So I'm actually going to, let me shrink this up. Okay. And yeah, so you can see everything. All right. Okay. And then let's go ahead and enter in our third bill here so we can kind of see how this will work. So in this case, let's go ahead and enter in a last one for Donna Distributing. Okay, so Donna Distributing, right? We purchased Donna Distributing and it's going to be a product and service, right? and it's also going to be a category. So yes, you can mix and match both of them. If there was something that you purchased them for an expense, and there was something that you purchased them for a for the items and services that you provide, yes, you can go ahead and create a bill that does for both of them, both a category and an item. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to create another bill for Donna. Okay, so I'm going to go to right here. I'm already at my expenses tab. So I can go ahead and click right here where it says new transaction, drop down that list, and I can choose a bill. Okay. And once again, I'm going to type in here Donna. So there's Donna Distributing. Oops. D-O. There you go, Donna. Donna Distributing. Okay. Right, let's see what date we have it for. We have it for the 2nd of January here. All right. Here you actually get a billing number. Okay. 389904. Right. 38 9904. Okay. Location. Location is Walnut Creek. Okay. So we're going to switch the store here to Walnut Creek store. Right. Any tags that you have here? Tags is retail. So I can type here, or I can, oh, there you go, retail. Okay. So first, let's go ahead and do the items first, and then we'll put in the categories afterwards. Okay, so the first item that you purchase from Donna is going to be, so purchase over here, products and services. You purchase picture frames, 5x7 metal, and then you have your 6x8 wood. Okay, and you also have photo paper, so quantity 1, 2, and 10. Okay, so 5x7 metal. So products and services. So you remember, we did this yesterday, or in chapter 2 here, when we set up our products and services. So we got 5x7 metal. Okay, we sold one of them. Okay, or we purchased one of them for $2.15 each. And then we purchased frame 6x8 wood, and we purchased 2 of them. So frame. So there you go, frame 6x8 wood, right? We purchased 2 of them at $5 each. Okay, and then we purchased a photo paper. We purchased 10 of them. So yes, you can use this to also purchase your supplies, right? So photo paper. Okay, and we purchased 10 of them at $15 a piece. Let's see. Yep, $15 a piece. Okay, store. Okay. Okay. Now, are they taxable? Now, remember, especially when you have a vendor to like a supplier relationship, right? If you can prove that you are a reseller oftentimes you can get tax exempt. Now, that's not always true, depending on what it is. But if you are reselling this item, you have a higher chance of getting a tax exemption because you are considered you're reselling these products and services to someone else. So in this case, we do get tax exempt, so no tax here. Okay. And then let's see, we also had shipping and freight cost, right, of $30. Okay, so we need to add that in there. So $30. So category number 1. So if you forgot to add this, right, you can always add it later. So shipping income, this is shipping and posting, right? Expense, wait, hold on, let me see. No, it's a cost of goods sold. So let me get rid of that category, put COGS for shipping and handling. It should be there. We just added that in there. Cost of goods sold. It does say quick add, so you might have to do, there you go, shipping costs for cost of goods sold. So let me type in cost of goods sold first. Their supplies and materials. Okay, so we're going to quick add. So cost of goods sold, right? I'm gonna click quick add. Okay, so quick add is where you get to add things on the go. So like I've mentioned, right, if you decided to go to Walmart, you'd be able to quick add anything that you want on here. So in this case, we're going to do an account, right? Account type is going to be an expense. Let's see, income, other, accounts receivable, current, bank, fixed asset, other asset, a credit card. Oh, there you go. Okay, expense. Okay. And then what is this? It's called shipping and freight costs. Okay. All right. Description, right? You can just go ahead and copy and paste your title in here. Okay. And what is this detailed under, right? It's going to be under cost of goods sold. So locate your cost of goods sold here. Or you can type it in if you want to. Cost of labor. Oh, I should have put cost of goods sold first. There you go. Cost of goods sold. Oh, right here. What? I do already have it. Oh, okay, so under shipping and freight. Okay, there you go. And I can go ahead and save and close. There you go. I have now cost of goods sold, shipping and freight cost. Okay, and the amount was for $30. Okay, and this was for the store. So that means this whole entire bill should be for $192.12. Yep. Okay. All right. Once everything looks good, so you have that $192.12 plus the the amounts that you have here. If everything looks good, we can go ahead and save and close. Okay, and it says right here, this transaction has one or more missing classes. Okay, let me check. I'm assuming, oh, right here. Okay, for my picture frames here, store and store. Okay, and I'm going to save. There you go. So now I have a total of 3 bills that I have put in here. And I have, yep, that's it. Okay. All right, any questions in regards to that? All right, remember, there are multiple ways that you can enter in a bill. I showed you all 3. Okay. All right. Now, of course, you can even scan a copy of the bill and attach it as a document. Now, if you notice very carefully, if you actually looked at the bill itself, so if I were to click on one of these bills, right, if you keep scrolling down to the very bottom, you have the options to enter in an attachment. So if you want to make a copy of that bill, you can, because again, the thing about accountants is that, or accounting, is a business should be able to keep the proof of the transaction. So here's a way that we can be able to eliminate having, again, paper documents, right? We can scan the document and attach it to each bill. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see what's next. Okay. So we can go ahead and run an unpaid bills report. Meaning if you are looking at keeping track of all the bills that you have yet to pay, you're also able to do that by running a unpaid bills report. Okay? So once again, you're going to go to your reports center on the left navigation bar. Okay? You're going to go to who owes, not who you owe. Okay? And you should be able to see your unpaid bills report right here. Okay? So there you go. It should pull up all the information, but if you need to adjust it based on the time frame, you can choose select all dates. So that's what I just did here. Or it automatically did all the dates here. So here it shows that I owe 3 bills to 3 people, right? We did one for Barton, we did one for Donna, and we did one for Gandhi in Gandhi video, right? So that gives me a total accounts payable of $2,067, okay, and 15 cents. Okay, so that's what I currently owe. Okay. So let's take a look at what the next section is. So the next section is going to be actually paying your bills. Now, here's the one thing that you have to know. You absolutely cannot use the write a checks window to pay your bills, because in this case, QuickBooks is not going to make an association with you making a regular expense and linking it to a bill that you are paying. Okay, because just like a program, right? Very certain sequences must happen in order for you to, in order for you to do the transaction correctly. If you decide to write a checks, what you're essentially doing is you're entering in a double expense. Like you already recorded the expense as is, right? And by you making a payment using the write a checks function, you're entering in another expense that you're paying for at time of service. So remember, when we talked about this, right? If you're using accounts payable, you must use the enter bills function, and you must use the pay bills function to eliminate the credit for the credit vendors, right? You have to use that for the accounts payable. for anybody who pays at time of service, at time of service and at time of purchase, you're going to use either the expenses tab or use the write a checks function. Okay, those are the only two that you can use to pay for things at time of purchase. But if you're owing something, you must use the enter bills, and then in order to decrease those accounts payable, you must use the pay bills option. Okay? So you have a couple ways that you can use the pay bills option. You can either choose marked as paid, or you can actually go through the pay bills window. Now, if you use the marked as paid, you will encounter other things, but you won't encounter anything, but you will look at that one bill in particular. Okay, so let's take a look at that marked as paid option. So now that here I'm in my expense or my report here, if I were to go to my expenses tab, okay, on the left navigation portion, and I go to my expenses, and I I want to pay Gandhi video, okay? If I do, here's the actions that I can choose. I can schedule a payment, or I can choose marked as paid. So if I go ahead and click marked as paid, this will bring me my bill payment window where I am paying one bill at one time. Okay? Right? And it will tell me how I'm going to pay, what am I going to do, and so on and so forth. So if you're looking at a very particular bill you're trying to pay, use the marked as paid option. Now, if you want to know how many bills that you need to pay at the same time, I recommend you to use the new plus new icon, and simply go to pay bills window function. Because if I go to my pay bills window function, it will populate all the bills that I owe. And I can just pay off all of them in one sitting. Instead of having to go through each and every single individual bill that I owe, this one I can check mark which ones I want to pay, which ones I don't want to pay, right? So in this case, I am going to pay all three. But what I'm trying to say is that you can choose and, click which ones you want to pay and which ones you don't want to pay by just check marking them. So if I want to pay Barton and I want to pay Gandhi but not Donna, then you can select so. Okay, but in this case, I'm going to pay all three of them anyway. Okay, so let's see. So pay bills. So here it says right here, select all the unpaid bills. Okay, payment form, we're going to use my checking account to pay for all these bills, and we're going to make the payment date all on January 31st, and we're going to assign the check numbers starting with 10/12, and we're going to save and close. Okay? Okay, it says right here, do not pay Donna, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay everybody except for Donna. Okay? So I'm going to uncheck Donna, okay? And I'm going to assign the check numbers, right? So that's what I want to do. So starting from the very top here, how are you going to pay your vendors? We said we're going to pay from my checking account, okay? And what we're going to do here is, right now I have nothing in my bank. That's true because I haven't dove into chapter 6 yet, where we actually update my account balances. But in this case, that's fine, right? And we're going to assign the payment as of January 31st. Okay? And then it says right here, starting check number, we're going to do check number 10/12, like it says right here, right? We're going to start with 10/12, okay? And again, you want to click save and close. Okay? And of course, you want to, if you click print later, then you won't assign the number until later. So we'll talk about that when you want to print your checks. But in this case, I'm going to make it starting 10/12. right? And I'm making a payment for $18.75 because I'm paying everybody except for Donna. Okay. And then once I have all that there, I'm going to go ahead and save and close. Okay. Now it says right here, save and close. You do have the option, right? You can either save and print, or you can go ahead and schedule a payment. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and click save and close. Okay. So now that I have those two bills paid, right? Notice this. If I go to my expenses tab, right, I have things paid off. So in this case right here, it says action, says scheduled to pay, schedule payment. Let me see. It should tell you that it's been paid. Okay, so if I click status here, right, it should tell you what that status is. Let me get rid of memo real quick. I don't need to have memo there. Name, class location. Okay. Number, payee, memo. I don't need a memo there. And let me see. So the status should tell you right here. So if I actually drag and click and drag, right, it should tell you that it's been overdue, just because it's taking into consideration of today's date, but it should be paid. Let me check. Did I save and close? Oh, okay. It's the reason why is because I didn't print the check out. Okay. But I have made a payment to this. So how would I be able to know that? If I go to my vendors, right? I shouldn't owe Donna, or I do owe Donna right here. Gandhi says right here that I owe them 0. Is that true? Well, let's see. If I click on Gandhi and I go to transactions, it says right here, I received the bill and I paid it. And it's a signed number, check number 13. So in this case, it's telling me, yes, it's been paid. But of course, I haven't printed the check out. So that's why the status says it's been overdue and it hasn't been paid yet, because I haven't printed the check out yet. Okay. But there you go. So I printed out those. I already paid the bill off. Now I'm just pending to print that check. Okay. All right. So that's the pay bills function. Okay. So let's see what is next. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about actually identifying the next section, which is dealing with payments that you pay your vendors at time of purchase or at time of service, right? Which is going to be using the expenses tab. So as I've mentioned before, right, you can use your expenses tab to pay for things with a debit card, credit card, or a electronics funds transfer, right? Or actually, you can also use it for cash payments and for, let's say you write a manual check, right? Because every time you open up a business bank account, the first thing that you're going to get is a set of manual checks that you can handwrite, and you can go ahead and issue those checks out to your vendors. That is going to be the options for using your expenses tab. Now, if you pay Intuit, okay, so Intuit has their own set of pre-made printable printable checks that you can order through the Intuit website, and they'll mail you out or ship you out your set of checks that you can print out. Now, there are some rules and regulations, so we'll talk about that when we dive into the write a check section, or into the printing the check section there. But in this case, right, if you were to go out that route, right, yes, you can go ahead and use the write a checks function if you choose to write the check right then and there and print it right then and there and mail it out. But in this case, if you're using a credit card, debit card, an EFT, or a cash, or any manual check that you wrote out, utilize the expenses tab or the expenses function. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter in our very first expense here, right here, which is to pay for things that we purchased from Ogaga Photo Supply. Okay, so this one we're gonna purchase this for the Walnut Creek location. Okay, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use the plus new icon because that is the way that we can enter in our expenses, right? Because this is our best friend. We click on that plus new icon and we have the abilities to click on expenses, and this is going to bring up my expenses window. Now look, check out this expenses window. Notice this. It is identical to an enter bills. The only difference is I'm making a payment right now. Okay, so first things first is you need to identify the vendor. So this is Ogaga Photo Supply. So there you go, Ogaga Photo Supply. Okay, notice there's no address because you're paying at time of purchase. Okay, and let's see, how are you going to make a payment to them? Well, we can go ahead and click your payment options. So if you remember, we added our credit card Visa 56878, right? So we're going to charge our credit card for this one, okay? And let's see what it says here. We are making a purchase on the 2nd of January. Reference number is 4635. So we're purchasing as of the 2nd of January. Reference number is, I think, 4635. 4635, yeah. 4635. Which location? We're buying this for the Walnut Creek store. Okay. And let's see, what is the tags on here? Tags, no tags. Okay, we're buying some products and services. We're buying a camera, lens, and case. Okay, and we're buying one of those. So you should have that under your products and services list for a total of $595. Okay, so we're not buying a category. We're buying a items and services. So first one we have here is camera. Camera SR32, you got the case or lens, and you bought the case. Okay, so you got the camera, lens, and case. Okay, each one of them is $1 each. So again, since you are buying from Ogaga Photo Supply, they don't charge you tax. So in this case, it should be non-taxable for a total of $595, right? And everything looks good. Now we have to make sure that they all say to the store. Okay, store. Oops. Store. Store. Okay. Now, if you remember from yesterday, right, or chapter 2, when we set up our classes, we also made sure that it flagged us every time that we don't enter in a class or a location to make sure that we do. Because the important thing about having classes or locations is it helps you build your projections, right? It helps you make sure to identify, right? Because again, this is a data-based type of system where the more information you add in here, the way that we can make reports based on the information that we add in there by categorizing our income and expenses, especially by the location or by the store, allows us to make projections such as profit and loss against the different stores that we have, right? Which one is making a better profit? So again, that's what those are for. So again, for the $595, and I'm going to click Save and Close. So there you go. And you made a payment using your checking account. Okay? Was there a specific check number that we put in there? Not necessarily, but if you did have one, you would put that under the notes or something like that. But in this case, we didn't use, we use a credit card, so therefore it's going to be under my credit card. Now, how do I look up my credit card now that I've already put it into my credit card? You're able to do that by going to your credit card chart of accounts. So if I go to my chart of accounts and look up my Visa, okay, so I look up Visa. Here you go, credit card, and I'm able to view my register. What you're going to notice is, boom, I owe $595 on my credit card right now. Okay, so I made a charge to my account for $595. So that's what my account balance is right now. So that's how you're able to see your credit card transactions go through, right? Records of my transactions going through. Okay? So that is the first expense there. Now, what if I decide to actually use the write a checks function? So again, yes, I want to write a check. You can do that, right? By going to the write a checks function. So if I go to my new icon, so again, if I need to pay for something, right then and there, and utilize the Intuit's possibilities to create those checks, right? Then I could be able to do that here. Now notice this. I go to my expenses tab here, and boom, I have that expense right there that I just purchased from Ogaga Supplies. So again, it keeps tracks of everything that you do for this company, okay? In terms of expenses, right? Things that you purchase right here, Ogaga Supplies. Okay. So again, if I go to the new icon, I'm able to go ahead and click on checks here. So this is if I use the write a checks function, where I'm going to manually print these checks out at my store, right? You can also go to new transactions and be able to do the same thing here, right here, checks. Okay. So if I use this type of payment where I am paying Intuit or paying some kind of bank institute to provide me printable checks that I'm able to print at my office at any given moment in time, then this is how you are able to do this, or to be able to fill it out. So the person I'm going to be writing or printing out a check to is going to be Dan Kahn. And he's going to be the person that I'm going to be paying for the rent. Okay? So in this case, let's see. Dan Kahn, we're going to use the checking account because that's where the money's going to come out from. It's going to be from our checking account because we're using a check to write it. We're going to pay as of January 1st for check number 1001. So let's see. I'm going to go to Dan Kahn, D-A-N, and there he, nope. Okay, oh, D-A-N, Dan Kahn. We're not paying him with cash. We're going to pay with our checking account. Okay. Any check number, we're going to use 1001. Okay. You could choose to print it later, but once again, if you choose to print later, that means you're going to assign the check number later. In this case, no, I'm not going to assign the check number now. I'm not going to assign the check number later. I'm going to go ahead and assign it as 1001. Okay. We're making a payment as of January 1st. Okay. And for the location, since this is rent, let's see, which store are we paying for? We're going to pay for the Walnut Creek location for rent. Okay. So again, Walnut Creek's already put in there. Tags, no tags there, right? Actually, it's retail. So retail. Okay. And then let's see. This is definitely a category, right? And it says property. I'm going to just type in rent. That should be a lot quicker to locate here. Rent. Okay, so you have rent, you have a building and property rent. That's the one that you want to put in there. Building and property rent. Okay. For $1,500. Description, right? Rent for Walnut Creek store. Okay, amount is $1,500. Okay, and it's for the store. Okay, so there you go. Everything is filled in here. You didn't buy any products or services, so you're just paying Dan Con $1,500 for rent. Okay, for this. Okay. Once we have this, I'm gonna go ahead and store. Everything looks good, and I can save and close. So there you go. I have another bill. Okay. Now notice this. If I go to my vendor section, right, I have a total outstanding. I've paid only $192. Okay. So I owe right now. I owe a lot of money because I still have. Oh wait, no, I paid a lot. I only owe $192 to Donna, right? That's what it says. One overdue, and one unpaid. Okay. All right. So again, that Dan Con we paid. So notice this. Boom. It says right here that you wrote a check to Dan Con. Okay, for the building and property rent. Okay. So once now that we have issued or recorded all of our payments, right? So notice this, here's all of my payments that I've made so far. So I have 2 bill payments, so that's 2 checks I'm pending on here. I wrote a actual check right here, 1,001, and then so on and so forth. So I have 3 checks that are pending to print, okay? Now, how do I print out my checks? Okay? Well, in this case, right, where should you go for paying to print out your checks? Okay? So we talked about the write a checks window. So let me get to this part. So printing your checks. How do I print them out? Well, like I said, what's your best friend? Your best friend is going to be your plus new icon. And you're going to scroll all the way down and look for print checks. Okay? So I click on print checks, and what's going to happen is it's going to show you this window here, which allows you to verify the checks that you're going to be printing. You're going to be selecting once again what kind of format you're going to print your checks out for. So you have 2 choices you could choose from. You got voucher style and you got standard style. Okay, voucher style, right? Okay, so for example, if you're printing a paid check, usually voucher style will have all of the person's pay stub information at the top, and then down below is going to be a perforated line for you to, tear, and then that's your check right there. We call that voucher style, okay? The second one is going to be standard style, where you're just simply printing out your checks. So this one, right, on a regular standard 8.5 by 11 page, you are able to print up to 3 checks per page. Okay, so you can choose voucher, or I'm going to choose standard style. Okay. Now you're going to put the print the page into your printer, and then you're going to, you can either view a preview and print the sample. So I can view this and see that this is what the check is going to look like. So I'm going to write one to, this is the sample one. of what the checks would look like. So again, 3 per page. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so once you've done that, you can go ahead and click yes, I'm finished, and start printing, right? And so on and so forth, right? And then, of course, that is it. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of printing your checks, straightforward. I'm not going to do it because I would encourage you not to waste paper or anything like that. And plus, on top of that, like these vendors and stuff like that, this is for a sample study. So in this case, I can just choose close, right? Because I've already paid them. I just didn't print the checks for them. Okay, but that's okay. So it already tells me that. See, this is what I meant by doing this, right? It should show you that you paid this person already. Okay. So again, this one again are so it says right here that it's been applied, paid, and paid. So all my bills have been paid. Okay? Except for one. The Donna Distributing is the one thing I have yet to pay. Okay? So that's how you print your checks. Okay? Okay. All right, let's see this one here. Let's do another example of a credit card payment here, or sorry, a credit card charge here, where I'm going to pay for something with a credit card. So here, right, we're going to charge my credit card for this type of thing. Now this is a really weird one because this one, right, in the scenario they said that you went to a random office supply store. So you went to Peterson Office Supply and you purchase a printer and you purchase ink for your printer, right? Now, if there are 2 store locations, how in the world are you sharing a printer? So that's why I made it clear that maybe you already purchased a printer for the Walnut Creek, so you're buying ink for to replace it, and for your San Jose location, you're buying a brand new printer. Okay, so in this case, like I've mentioned before, right, it makes no sense that you would buy a printer and an ink cartridge and share it with 2 different locations, one in San Jose and one in Walnut Creek. Now, I don't know really much about the different locations, but I know Walnut Creek is in Santa Clara County and San Jose is in San Jose County. So I don't know how a company can share a printer between 2 stores, right? It doesn't make any sense. So in this case, that's why I clarified and revised this exact example here. So then you're able to go ahead and do this example where I'm going to have a random occurrence where I just decide to go purchase something randomly for the store. So in this case, and I'm going to use my credit card to pay for it. So I got my Peterson Office Supply is the person, and let's see, the date that I purchased it is the January 1st. Okay. So once again, you can go up to the new plus, and then I'm using a credit card, so I'm going to go ahead and click on expenses. Okay, so who did I purchase this from? We said Peterson. Okay. It says right here, there is no such thing as a Peterson Office Supply, so what do? You quick add him. Okay, so there you go. There's a Kim Peterson. Okay, so there you go. That's probably one of the things that we were supposed to edit was Kim Peterson. Kim Peterson, Peterson Office Supply. So here we're using our credit card, Visa 5678, right? All right. And we're going to, today is the 1st of January, right? Payment method. We're using a credit card. Okay. Reference number. Usually that will be your receipt number. Okay. Reference number, there isn't any, but for location, right? So you have two options. You can either enter in one bill at a time for these separate two transactions code. So this one for the San Jose location, you're going to do office supplies for $435 for the printer. Okay. So nothing there. We're going to do this for the San Jose location. This is going to be a category for office supplies. So office supplies right here. Description, printer for San Jose. Okay, amount $435. Okay, $435, and it's going to be store. Okay, and once everything looks good, right, then I can go ahead and save and close. Okay, I can also do save and new, and what happens is it will just save the one that you just did and then open up a brand new window for the next one. So I should have done save and new. Okay. All right, so once again, it's going to be that Kim Peterson again. So Peterson. All right, same thing, credit card. Form of payment is going to be credit card for the same date, but this time you want to do the Walnut Creek location. Okay? And it's going to be for the same thing here, office supply. So there's office supplies. Description is laser ink jet, laser ink cartilage, cartridge. Okay. Okay. Amount. Okay. For $290 for the store location. Okay. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and click save and close. Okay, just double check that it was for $290 for that. Okay, and boom, there you go. So there you go. You made 2 credit card transactions right there. Even though, yes, you recorded it all at once, but because you made 2 separate purchases, or you made one purchase for 2 separate things, and they told you to utilize the classes for it. But like I mentioned, how do you share a printer and share a ink between 2 stores? Okay, so I made 2 bills separated for those transactions there. Okay. So reports that you can do here is you can go ahead and utilize the information to view things that you have paid for, or things that you have, or for example, you can do accounts payable reports. Okay, so again, that's out there. Petty cash, we won't talk about till later on. In chapter 6, we will talk about that. And then paying your contractors, we'll talk about that later on in chapter 11. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, so again, if you want to do your report, so this section right here is your report. You can look at your bills and applied payments. You have your vendor balance detail reports. Okay, so yep, and that's the last thing that we have there. So let's take a look at what these reports can do. So as I've mentioned before, right, you can be able to utilize the information that you put into QuickBooks to create these reports to get some kind of better understanding about your company. So once again, I go to my report center on the left navigation portion, and I'm going to focus more on two sections here. So you can either do what you owe, right? So if you had your 1099 workers and you put all the information there, you can take a look at your accounts payable information. You can look at your bill payments list. You can even look at bills and applied payments. So if I want to run a report on bills and applied payments, this is what will happen, right? It will show me that I received a bill and I paid the bill. See? Received the bill, paid the bill. Received the bill, paid the bill. Okay? On these two vendors, right? For my Gandhi and for my Barton insurance. Okay? I can also, let's see, I could take a look at my expenses and vendors, right? Which will give me my vendor balance information. I can look at my, I don't have purchase orders right now. Let's see, vendor balance information, right? Or let me see. Okay, that was in this one. Vendor detail, vendor balance detail. What's the difference between detail and summary? Detail will give you a track record of every single bill and every single payment that you make, right? Now, take a look at this. I want to do all dates, which is already right now. Right now, remember, I don't owe anybody except for Donna. Donna distributing, okay? It will give you a list of every single bill and every single transaction that you have completed, where a summary is actually going to give you an overall look at that person, the vendor balance information. So let's go ahead and take a look at vendor balance summary instead. So in this case, it pulls up my Donna Distributing, and it just tells me that I overall owe her $192.15. So that's what I mean about having an overall summary look. It doesn't tell me the details in regards to what I owe Donna, but the vendor detail one gives me specific bills and things that I have currently pending for Donna. Okay, so that's the difference there. But these are your account payable reports that you can do. Okay, so once again, if you download this PowerPoint here are the review videos that you can do that are made by Intuit themselves. Okay, and we also reached the end of chapter 4. So we're going to go ahead and utilize the time now to go ahead and go through the multiple choice section here. It says right here, select the best answers. So that's select the best few answers for each of the following. Okay. So number 1, okay, you may record a payment to your vendor by, and then, okay, so here, right, let's take a look at all the answers, right? Paying by credit card using the expenses. Well, yes, okay, you can do that. You can use the checks to write and print a check. That's definitely a way that you can pay your vendor. You can also use the bills to record and then an accounts payable, and then use the paid bills to pay the open balance with a check or credit card. Yes. So in this case, D, you can use all 3 ways to record a payment to your vendor. Okay. Number 2, to display the vendor center, what do you do? Okay, let's take a look. A, do you check do you click vendors on the dashboard? Okay. Do you click the plus new button and then click on vendors? Okay. Do you see type vendors in the search button? Or D, hover over the expenses on the left navigation bar and then click on vendors. Okay. So let's take a look at the first three. Can you click on vendors on the dashboard? Let's see. Do we have vendors on the dashboard? So if I go to dashboard and I go to getting things done, is there a vendor section here? Okay, I have managed my customers. Okay. Okay, money out. I only have pay bills. And so nothing here. Manage payroll. So no vendors here. Okay. The second one was type in, or that's the third option, type in vendors in the search bar. If I typed in vendors here, does that get me to the vendor center? No, it tells me there's no such transaction called vendors. Okay. And then the second one says you can use the plus new button to click on vendors. Can I do that? Plus new and click on vendors? Nope. Does not give me the option to do so. But let's check out letter D here, where it says you're going to hover over the expenses tab and click on vendors. And yes, you're able to do that to get to the vendor center. So D is the correct answer here. Okay. Number 3, you can add a vendor. Okay, let's see. A, only at the beginning of the fiscal year. Is that true? Right? In this case, you shouldn't wait till the beginning of the fiscal year. B says only if you will purchase over $600. I mean, you don't necessarily have to cap limit on how much. You can just buy, a simple pen for $5 and that would still be your vendor, right? You could still add your vendor in there, okay? Only at the beginning of the month, right? That's the same situation as letter A. So again, D says at any time by selecting new vendor at the vendor center. Yes, your vendors can come and go. Now, like I've mentioned before, right? You can use the quick add feature, right? Where if you're buying something on the go, you decide to go to Walmart, right? You don't have Walmart as your vendors list. You don't need to put in any information except for adding in Walmart. And you can do that at any given moment in time. So D is the correct answer. Okay. Number 4, which statement is true? Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, letter A. QuickBooks Online records each bill payment, okay, in the bank account register, okay, for credit card account register, and of course the accounts payable register. So yes, if you're going to be utilizing QuickBooks for that reason to record a bill, it will affect your accounts payable account, right? And it will record whatever payment that you use to record that, account, okay? B says pay bills increases the balance in both the checking account and the accounts payable account. Now, if you're paying your bills, are you increasing your checking account or decreasing? In this case, you are decreasing because you're spending your money to pay for the bill that you owe. So in this case, it does not increase both. Okay? So that's false. C says QuickBooks Online has built-in discount terms. No, right? No. So remember that that one instance where we had entered, or we had an option to do a 2% discount. In this case, no. There are no built-in discount terms. You're going to have to manually calculate that on your own. Okay? And then letter D says that you cannot make partial payments on a bill. Yes, you can, right? If you're short on money and you owe a person money and you say, okay, I can promise to pay you $50 now and I'll pay you the rest later. Yes, you can make partial payments on that. So this says you cannot. So the correct answer is A. A is the true statement. Okay. Number 5. Okay. When you print out checks, which of these is not true? So you're looking for the false statement here. Okay. A. You can print checks you can print checks one at a time. Yes, you can, right? You just select which ones you want to print. Right? So in this case, yes, you can print one check at a time. B, you have to print checks in batches. Is that true? You're not obligated to, but if you have the need to, right? So again, if you choose to print print the check right away after you paid your bill, right? At the very bottom of the window, you have the option to select save and print. So therefore, yes, you can print your checks one at a time. Are you obligated to wait to the very end to print in batches? No. It would just be much more efficient, yes, but in this case, are you obligated? No. So B is definitely false. Letter C, you can enter in handwritten checks. Yes, you can. We talked about this, right? Through the expenses tab. You just manually put in your manual checking number into the information box. Okay, down below at the notes. Okay, and then D says checks can be written to customers. Do you pay your customers? I mean, in this case, that is considered true because yes, if you accidentally overcharge them, yes, you can pay your customers, right? You can give them their refund. So that is definitely true. So your answer is letter B. That's the only statement that's not true. You don't have to necessarily print in batches, right? It's just more efficient if you do. Okay. Number 6, if you pay bills by a check, okay? All of the following occur except, so let's take a look at question number 6, okay? A, QuickBooks Online increments, okay? The check number. Wait, hold on. Let me see. If you pay bills by check, all of the following occur except. So, okay, so yes. So this is talking about the check number, okay? This is the part where it's talking about assigning check numbers to each check. Yes, it will increment the check number for sure, right? I didn't get to show you, but the next time we do this, right, I'll show you when we go down further into the checkbook that every time you print a check or you write a check out, right, it's going to assign a number and it's going to remember that number. So then the next time you print out a check, it will assign a number, the following number. This does this because it doesn't want you, it's a better way to keep track of your checkbook, but it also makes you allow you to let you know what check number that you left off with, right? So you don't just type in random numbers in there because that's not the best way to keep track of your checkbook. Okay. The bill is marked paid. That is true, right? We looked at the status already. Okay. C says the checking account balance decreases, of course, because that is true, right? If you're making a payment, your checking account should decrease, right? And then letter D says the accounts payable account increases. No, you're paying a bill, you're paying what you owe. So therefore, your accounts payable should decrease, not increase. So D is the correct answer. Okay. Number 7, if you want to track the expenses for each customer or project, what do you do? So letter A says you're going to enter each expense on the job costing section. There is no such thing as a job costing section to enter in on your expenses. I'm just kidding. I mean, in terms of looking at how it is, there's no, how do I say that? Okay, enter each expense in the job costing section. You don't enter in the expense in the job costing section, right? When you open up your expenses, right, there is a section for job costing, but you don't put the expense in that title. Okay? B says use the pay liabilities function. First off, you're not using a liability. You're not paying a liability if you're linking this expense to a customer. So that has nothing to do with any of it. C says you're going to link each expense with the customer, sub-customer, and project to which it applies. So yes, that's what you're going to do. So if you open up your expenses window in the job costing, you're going to link or assign the customer's name. So C is the correct answer here. Okay? You're not going to create a separate expense account for each job. No. You don't need to. So we'll talk about this one. This one is more for chapter 9, where we actually dive into job costing. Okay? So number 8, to make a credit card payment, okay, the best practice is to, okay, so I didn't talk about credit card payments in this one because we will get to see it again in another chapter. But there is a section that you can do, and this is the one that I didn't tell you to do. But if you did your reading, you'd be able to answer this question. So letter A says, so question number 8, letter A says, are you going to itemize the expense when you enter in the credit card payment, okay, in the checking account? No. You're not going to go ahead and write a check, okay, and list out all the expenses that you are paying for. No, that's not how you do it, okay, because you already paid for it using your credit card. So you're going to, essentially by doing letter A, you're entering in a double expense, okay? You're going to choose the pay liabilities from the plus new button. Okay, let's take a look at that. Do we have a pay liabilities button under this? No, we got pay bills, but when you use a credit card, we didn't enter in the bill in the first place. Okay? So you don't have a pay liabilities section there. Use the pay down credit card on the plus new icon. And do we have that? Let's see. Yes, you do have pay down credit card. Yes, you do. So letter C is the correct answer here because if you need to pay your credit card, that's the option you're going to choose. And it will help you do that for you easily, okay? Then, of course, none of the above is not the end of the answers. Okay, so letter 8 is use that pay down credit cards function on the plus new window. Okay, so again, I didn't talk about it because that's something that you had to read because we're not going to, this one is not more so for that. But if you do click on it, it's going to pull up your credit card information, or what you're going to do is you're going to pull up your credit card. and it's going to allow you to make that payment option, whether you could do via online or whatever it is, right? So you can do it that way. Okay. You can also do that by using your expenses tab too. So the cool thing about doing that is if you decided to use your expenses tab, let's say you make an online payment, you do an EFT, right? So you could, it's going to come out of your checking account, of course, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to use EFT. Okay, if you have a payment option for that. If you don't, you can add that in there. So if you make it a payment online, that's going to be considered an electronics funds transfer, right? Or an auto clearing house, whichever one best fits your description. And what you're going to do is for a category, you're actually going to put in your Visa credit card. Okay, so if I go ahead and put in Visa, right? I can put in my Visa credit card right here and put in the payment number I want to put in there. Okay. Yes, you can do that option to pay off your credit card, but in this case, this doesn't tell you how much you owe on your credit card. So you're going to have to look at your credit card information and pay it using the expenses tab this way, right? Yes, this is another way that you can pay off your liability, and it actually pays it off. Okay, but you have to remember what comes with credit card payments, right? You have interest that accrues on a credit card, so that is exactly why they don't recommend you to use this section for that reason, is because you have to also, every time you make a payment to a credit card, you're paying the interest off as well. Okay, so that's why they recommend you use the credit card pay down credit card payment, so then you're able to also make a payment for that interest as well. Okay. Number 9, if you create an expense instead of paying a bill, which of the following is not true? So once again, another false statement. Which one is false? Okay, so letter A says you can open up the expense and use the drawer to turn it into a bill payment. No, you cannot do that, because remember, an expense is when you pay at time of service or pay at time of purchase. You never use expenses to make a bill payment. Okay, you can't convert an expense to a bill payment. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so in this case, let's see B. If it doesn't, okay, hold on. It doesn't matter, since on the expenses only shows in the cash-based reports. Okay. Let me see. To create an expense, if you create an expense instead of paying off a bill, okay, which of the following of these is not true? So in this case, yeah, because if you're using an expense, okay, let me see. Let me look at letter C. The expense is not the expense is doubled in an accrual-based accounting. So that is true, right? We said that earlier, right? If you decide to pay a bill using the expenses window, right, it will not associate. So you are double entering a expense in there. And then letter D says the expense will match the banking feed. Yes, that will be true, because again, if you're using the using the checking account to pay for that, your bank will appear. So which one is not true? Your book says that the answer is letter B. That it doesn't matter. In this case, that isn't true, right? Of course it will affect your books, right? Because if you're using the expenses tab to show for anything, whether it's a cash basis or accrual basis, right? If you're using a cash basis, right, that will 100% affect it because you're using the expenses window, which is, once again, you pay at time of service. So therefore, that is a cash basis. So in this case, letter B is false because it does matter that you use the expenses and it does appear on a cash basis. Okay. All right, number 10. Okay, which account type should you use to track petty cash? So once again, what is petty cash? Petty cash is another form of a bank account or a current asset. So in this case, the book does say that number 10, you would use the petty cash as a separate bank account, right? Because again, what is petty cash? Petty cash is another essence of a miniature bank account that has cash readily available for the store to use for minor expenses. So in this case, C is the correct answer. You should use it as a separate bank account. Number 11. Okay, 11 says the vendor balance detail report. Okay, so what does it show? Let's see. Number 11 says it shows all the detail of each bill, vendor credit, and bill payment for each vendor. Yes, right? I've elaborated on what the difference between detail is versus summary, right? Summary just gives you an overall balance. So in this case, let's see. Letter B says that it shows the detail of each payment created using the checks window. No, it doesn't do that, right? Because a checks window does not pay a bill off. So in this case, B is false. C says can be created by selecting the vendor balance detail report from the vendor center. No, you cannot create it from the vendor center. You can only create it through the report center. And then D says none of the above. So A is true, right? You get to see each vendor and each transactions, whether it's a bill, a credit, or a bill payment, you get to see it all. Okay. And then number 12, okay, what is the accounting behind the scenes for the paid bills window? Okay, when payments are made from the checking account. So in this case, excuse me, we're looking at what is the accounting behind the scenes. So what happens when a bill is being paid using the checking account? Well, in this case, if you know how the accounting model works, if we're using the checking account to pay a bill, what does pay a bill do? Pay a bill decreases the accounts payable, right? And it decreases your checking account because you're spending money to pay for the things that you owe. So in this case, let's see. If we understand increase and decrease is going to determine whether you're using a debit or a credit. So we're looking at question number 12 here. So we're going to decrease the accounts payable. So if you look at your accounting model, how do you decrease a liability? You would debit the account. And how would you decrease a checking account? You would credit the checking account. So in this case, letter B is the correct answer here. Okay. Question number 13. Okay. It is best not to use which field, okay, in the new vendor section window, in the setup window, setting up your vendor window, okay? A, opening balance, right? We said that no, never use the opening balance because if you do, QuickBooks is not going to know how many bills you owe to this vendor. They're not going to associate anything except for that you just owe this person money. So if you make a payment, they're not going to know which bill you're going to pay. So in this case, A is the correct answer, opening balance, right? Because vendor name, of course, you need to fill in the vendor name to create your new vendor. Do you need to have an address? It's not obligated, but that is definitely something that you can add to a new vendor. And of course, terms, right? We can designate terms when a vendor gives us them. So in this case, A is the correct answer. Okay, that's not the one that you are recommended to avoid using. Number 14, okay, in the pay bills window, you can sort the bills by, so in this case, in the pay bills, so yes, if you go to the pay bills option, you can sort the bill by date. Yes, you can. Okay. You can sort them by payee, and yes, you can do it by the open balance. So in this case, 14 is all of the above. Yes. So I didn't explore that, but if you were to go to your pay bills, in this case, I only have Donna left in here. But yes, so if you click on each of these, you can sort them based on payee, based on due date, by how much you owe them. So open balance. So yes, you have that. So if I had multiple bills, yes, you can organize them and categorize them based on that way. So yes. So all of the above is correct. Okay. Last question of the lesson here. Which statement is true in regards to bill payments? Okay. So let's take a look at the options here. Letter A says bill payments increase the balance of the accounts payable account. So again, you're paying off what you owe. So in this case, you are not increasing, you are decreasing. So that statement is false. Okay. B says when you pay your bills by issuing a check using the pay bills window, QuickBooks Online is going to record each bill payment in the checking account register and the accounts payable accounts register. Yes, so I didn't talk about this, but yes, that is true, right? Because in this case, when you are making a payment, if you remember from chapter 1, we talked about the double entry system, where if one action, if a transaction, if you're affecting one account, you need to have an equal and opposite transaction to counter that transaction, right? So in this case, if you have a debit, you need an equal and opposite credit. So in this case, if you're making a payment to your bill, right, you're reducing its liability, but how are you reducing it? You're going to be reducing your checking account because you're paying money to reduce your liabilities. So in this case, yes, it will be recorded in both checking account and your accounts payable account. Okay? And then letter C, if you select more than one bill for the same vendor, QuickBooks Online creates a separate bill payment for each bill. No, that's not true. Okay? It will just pay it off with one bill, right? Or in this case, what it does is it just says that you paid the bill, but it's under one check. Okay? And then of course, D says there is no way to send money to pay bills inside QuickBooks Online. That is obviously not true, right? Yes, you can send money to pay bills through QuickBooks Online, right? But in this case, that's if you're talking about real money, yes, you can do that through QuickBooks Online, right? And we'll talk about it in chapter 6 where you can link up your actual bank account to QuickBooks Online. Okay? So yes, you can actually send real money to pay your bills using QuickBooks Online. But if you're talking about transferring from one account to another account, yes, that's the purpose of using the double entry system once again. You are essentially moving money from one account to another. So yes, you can pay bills using your checking account and so on and so forth, right? All right. So question 15, letter B is the correct answer. Okay. All right, so stay tuned for chapter 5.1, which will talk about what happens when you need to return, refund, or things with a vendor, okay?